It's official. The world's largest bank is now debanking people and freezing their money for what they say online. I never thought I'd see this, but we now have Jamie Dimon, again, the CEO of JP Morgan, a massive $1.4 trillion bank, debanking a gentleman called Jack Mallers. And the reasons for why he's been debanked is going to be really interesting today, because there's a deeper and, let's say, darker conspiracy theory here with why Jamie Dimon is linked up in this global debanking trend that I think we're seeing. But what I think is most interesting is why we're seeing this happen in America under Donald Trump's watch. Again, this is the country that said, we are not doing what Europe is doing. We do not endorse what the UK is doing by arresting 30 people a day. That's 12,000 people a year for social media posts. Over there in the UK, they're giving their tax authorities the power to take money directly out of your bank accounts. They're talking about savings caps on their CBDCs, which is coming much quicker than most people think. Everybody says, oh no, America, nothing like that. America is safe. America isn't going to endorse the same policies that Europe and the UK is doing, but I think that what happened today is just a little bit more confirmation that this is going global, this is going worldwide, and you might be running out of time to prepare for this. So before we get into the deeper, darker story, let's play the clip as to why Jack Mallers got his bank account deleted. He touched on something in an interview this week that he touched last year, and maybe he shouldn't have touched it. Again, you guys, I'm sure, can pick up what I'm putting down, but here it is.
JP Morgan CEO and Chairman Jamie Dimon calling it essentially pet rock, and once again calling into question its worth and its value here. I would love to get your reaction, especially as some of the financial industry elites and figureheads are continuing to cast some doubt here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brad. What do I think about Jeffrey Epstein's banker being concerned that a distributed, decentralized, open public money could potentially be used for bad things, sitting on a ski resort in Davos? I don't really care. I don't know why anyone cares, right? I mean, that guy knows when money's used for bad things. So it's a weird opinion of his. And my pet rock was up, as you said, 160% last year. It performed well against the dollar. So I don't know. I don't really care what that guy has to say about Bitcoin. I don't know why anybody does.
So Jack came out. He called out Jamie Dimon. And he said, look, he's friends with Epstein. It's a bit strange, don't you think? Well, here's what's even stranger. We know for a fact that Jamie Dimon, again, this is where it all goes back to projection. He's been calling Bitcoin the choice of, I don't even want to say that phrase, but you guys can read. He's saying it's the choice of bad people. But guess what he's doing? He is enabling the bad people, and he has for a very long time. And whenever you see interviews of Jamie Dimon being asked about it on the national news, all of a sudden he goes a little bit quiet. He just doesn't quite have the answers that Jamie normally has, which is, again, it's fascinating. But here's another video that I want you guys to pay very close attention to. Not just the video, but have a look at the headline of this.
Is Jeffrey Epstein. JP Morgan's being sued now by the U.S. Virgin Islands. They're alleging that your bank helped facilitate payments to Epstein's victims and benefited from human trafficking while ignoring warnings. Do those allegations have merit?
So I cannot talk about current litigation except to say that whenever these things come up, we have some of the best lawyers in the world, compliance, out of the DOJ, out of SEC enforcement divisions, who review all of these things and make decisions at the time based on what they know, as best as they know.
You're going to be deposed, we've learned now, in this case in the spring. In retrospect, Jamie, do you think JP Morgan should have acted more quickly after Epstein pleaded guilty to one of these charges in 2008, because he was your client for 5 more years?
Hindsight is a fabulous gift.
We're going to end.
Look at that smile at the end. I mean, isn't this Jamie Dimon's opportunity to say, yes, we unfortunately made a mistake. We do not endorse anything that Jeffrey Epstein ever did. We regret doing it. We shouldn't have done it. We were wrong. Instead, he says, we have great lawyers. Ends the interview with a smile. Doesn't that just say the quiet parts out loud? He doesn't care about anything. He knows exactly what he was doing. Again, like that interviewee said, you were banking him for 5 years after he was a convicted criminal, and the public knew what he was doing on that little island. But yet, Jamie Dimon continues to bank him. Really makes you ask the question, especially when we have headlines like this. It's kind of wild now that I think about it, but again, this is all going back to projection. Now, this is all going back to something else as well, and that is, of course, this timeline of market manipulation. Because this story of Jamie Dimon coming out and attacking people with bank accounts because they have opinions online, this is strange for multiple reasons. Why now? Because we also know, we did a video on this over the weekend, maybe it was Friday afternoon, we were looking at Jamie Dimon's attacks on MicroStrategy. This is a Bitcoin company, for those who don't know. And who are we talking about that got their banks debanked? Jack Mallers. He has a Bitcoin company. So it nearly looks as if Bitcoin companies and people who are involved in Bitcoin, which is just the money that gives them freedom, they're now getting attacked. This is why, again, when we start talking about America, things are getting interesting. Now, again, this is the official letter that Jack Mallers got from Chase Bank saying, sorry, we're going to have to debank you. And despite being asked a lot of times, they cannot tell Jack why he got debanked. They just said, we aren't allowed to tell you, which is why I think it was the video I played for you guys earlier that got Jack in a little bit of hot water. Sorry, we are not allowed to tell you. Again, this is where the American angle comes into this. Because we've got MicroStrategy getting attacked. We've got senators like Cynthia Lummis saying JP Morgan's attack on Bitcoin companies undermines trust in the traditional banks. Again, I'll remind you, what did Donald Trump campaign on? We are going to end Operation Choke Point 2.0. It's unconstitutional. We're going to kick it out of our country. Well, guess what? JP Morgan Chase just started Operation Choke Point 3.0. They're still coming after Bitcoin companies. Even with Trump being in office, even with the Republicans having the Senate and the House and the presidency, they're still debanking Bitcoin companies, which asks the question, why? Bit coincidental, don't you think? JP Morgan Chase ends banking ties with Strike CEO, this is Jack Mallers, rekindling crypto debanking concerns. It's not just concerns, it's happening. It's happening worldwide. It's happening in America. It's happening in Europe. It's happening in the UK. It's all because they simply have too much debt and they make money by manipulating the markets and stealing yours. Now, this is where the angle of projection comes into things. JP Morgan just recently, look at the date of that, November 4th, 2025, discloses US inquiry into alleged debanking practices. Right now, Jamie is copping a lot of heat. There's an investigation going on right now into Jamie Dimon and his ties to Island Guy. That's what I'm going to call him. And of course, he projects. Starts shorting MicroStrategy, starts manipulating the Bitcoin market, manipulating the MicroStrategy market. This is just all too coincidentally timed, if you're asking me. We saw this on Twitter. JP Morgan Chase is refusing to transfer my shares for 4 weeks. I had to call my lawyer. I asked, did you lend them out or something similar? Where are my shares? They gave me excuses the entire time. Again, America keeps saying the nice things. The politicians, they keep gaslighting you. They keep giving you the propaganda that you want. Ask yourself the question, why are samurai developers who created a platform, they created something with technology, they wrote code, why are they right now getting sentenced to jail in America? Think about it. Why did they let CZ Binance out and allow him to run around and do all sorts of things with the markets? Again, we've all seen the connections between China, Binance, and that recent flash crash on October 10th that plunged Bitcoin from like 118 to 106 overnight. It went to 102 on Binance, much lower than any other exchange. There's some hints. Why is he being let out? The people who call out Jamie Dimon for his ties to criminals, they're getting debanked. And why are people who are writing code getting put in jail for 5 years, like the Samurai developers? It's because it's all a facade. They're all gaslighting you. The left or the right, they don't love you. They all hate you. Republicans or Democrats. Unless somebody actually wants to fix the monetary system, I don't think you should trust them. It's as simple as that. Look at Milei. He campaigned on burning down the central bank. 2 years later, there's still a central bank there. Again, I won't go off on my Milei rant. I'll hold that back for later on in the video. Let me rein myself back in. I want to just, before I really blow my rocker here, let's break down some more, let's call it what it is, strange things happening right now. So everybody knows we've got Bo Hines, used to be Trump's right-hand man, the strategic Bitcoin reserve man, over there in the White House. He was for about 6 months. He tweeted this out today, retweeting, sharing Jack Mallers' debanking letter, and he said, "Hey, Chase, you guys know Operation Choke Point is over, right? Just check in." Now, we still haven't got an explanation as to why Bo Hines left the White House. He was the man in charge of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. That executive order was signed by Donald Trump nearly a year ago in early 2025 that said we will have a strategic Bitcoin reserve in 30 days. We need a report to the Treasury showing us how much Bitcoin all of these government entities have. We still haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. And where's the strategic Bitcoin reserve? It's not here. Why did Bo go to Tether? Why? Just speculating, but maybe he was dismayed. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe he was a Bitcoiner who believed the narrative. We're going to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. He went into office. He was like, oh, okay. Maybe there's something else going on here. I don't know. I'm just connecting dots that might not be there. But him tweeting this out today caught my attention. I will say that. I got to be careful with what I say. But again, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that there's more happening here behind the scenes? I tend to think so. I think it's fascinating that Jamie's coming under a little bit of scrutiny this week. He's getting in a little bit of hot water, and maybe he's just creating fake narratives. Maybe he's just pointing the finger at MicroStrategy. I don't know. Maybe we'll hear his real thoughts on it shortly. Maybe. But I want to remind you of something very, very important. Because this is something that I think a lot of people don't know about Jamie Dimon. His involvement in manipulating the markets.
On September 12th.
This isn't a short-term thing. He's been doing this for a very, 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 very long time. I want to play you a very old video that explains just how long Jamie's been manipulating these markets for. Let's tune into this.
12, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. People listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal. He says it's a fraud. Says he'll fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, I mean, so unethical.
Unethical is maybe just the beginning of where this Jamie Dimon story stands. I'll remind you, our friend Jamie here, he's paid about, what, $20 billion in fines over the years for openly manipulating the markets. Kind of insane, don't you think? The banks just paid $20 billion. It kind of takes you back to, you know, the signal here. The signal here is that if you can make $100 billion of doing business with criminals, you don't mind paying a little $10 billion fine, do you? JP Morgan unethical, color me shocked. Exactly right. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. These guys have played their hand. They are anti-freedom. They will continue freezing bank accounts. And at this stage, I think the very simple heuristic that I'd encourage anyone to look at and use is this. Do not look at what your politicians say. Don't look at the pandering. If they say I'm pro-freedom, I'm anti-CBDC, all of that's, in my eyes, it's BS. Don't listen to them. If they've got too much debt, they will be forced to engage in Orwellian, draconian actions. And just think about it. If Trump's been in for a year, and how much good has actually come from this? Squat. What's going to happen in 3 years when he's out? What's going to happen in a year after the midterms? If this is the best it's going to be, I'm getting so angry, I'm hitting my little laptop stand here. Like, if this is as good as it gets, ask yourself, is the swamp going to be drained? Come on, guys. Come on. Of course it's not. Before I completely lose it. Bitcoin Jesus in the comment section, I think sums it up. Okay, again, we could talk a lot about Jamie Dimon. We're about to talk a lot about MicroStrategy, publicly traded stocks, and BlackRock's involvement in all of that. But again, I'll remind you, the very hopeful thing about this world today is we have a solution. It's called Bitcoin. We don't need to trust Jamie Dimon and his bureaucratic decision process as to who gets to keep a bank account and who gets theirs frozen. I got Bitcoin, baby. I put my wealth in one of these, and I don't care what the tapeworm says about Bitcoin. I really don't care at all. Now, again, if you've been putting off getting your hands on a hardware wallet, today is your special day. It's Black Friday sales across the board, not just happening in the price of Bitcoin, because I think we're about $88,000 right now. But you can, again, if you've been putting off buying a hardware wallet, today's the day. You can get 40% off the Trezor Safe 3 and the Trezor Safe 5. As you can see, look at those massive discounts. The Safe 3 is 47 big ones right now. That's huge. The brand new Trezor Safe 7, which is the one I have my hands on right now, you get right now a free gift when you purchase it. Again, this is the first hardware wallet with an auditable, secure element chip. It's the first quantum-proof hardware wallet. And again, if you're traveling around the world like I do, the worst thing that comes with your hardware wallets is the 48 cables that comes along with it. This thing is cordless. So I highly recommend you check it out. There's a link down below that's going to help you take self-custody of your Bitcoin. And check out this skip on down the road makes a great point. They've already admitted to being involved in horrific activities. I can say that on a stream. Exactly right. These guys are... I shouldn't have went live talking about Jamie Dimon. Can very easily get myself in trouble here. But I mean, these guys are quite obviously not good people. And when they're the ones attacking Bitcoin, pay attention. I mean, maybe they're buying right now. I have a chart I actually want to take you back to in a moment now, guys, because I showed you this last week. Let's have a look at Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan's holdings of MSTR. Because what is absolutely fascinating here is now the truth is starting to come out. Because since October 10th, everybody's kind of known that the markets have felt a little bit different, a little bit funny. I've made many videos talking about why I think maybe someone in China was responsible for that. Let's remind you on a chart what happened on October 10th. Because since then, Bitcoin's been down only. Now, the one thing is for certain about October 10th, that here's this big, massive red candle here. The one thing is for certain is that somebody was manipulating the markets. That's not, I mean, I'm sure we all believe that. That's not a stretch, is it? We saw like a $200 million short opened a minute before this 20% move in Bitcoin, which coincidentally coincided with Trump putting out a tweet about tariffs. And this is where, again, my American friends, especially my MAGA friends, might not like this. But until today, I've been speculating that maybe this was CZ Binance, maybe it was Barron Trump opening that massive multi-$100 million short a minute before Trump tweeted. But ask yourself this. If Trump is so pro-freedom, why is Jamie Dimon right now debanking Bitcoin companies and Bitcoin CEOs in the crypto capital of the world? That's what Trump says America is right now. Why do we have Operation Choke Point 3.0? Trump specifically said, I will end Operation Choke Point 2.0. But he's just letting the tapeworm, Jamie Dimon, do what he's doing right now? Why? Why is he being allowed to do this? Maybe they're closer buddies than most people think. And maybe Jamie Dimon was the one who was that anonymous whale making billions of dollars of profit a minute before that Trump tweet on October 10th that crashed Bitcoin by 20%. Because this is where things get interesting. Now, new information is coming out that maybe this is JP Morgan that triggered this $19 billion liquidation cascade in the Bitcoin space. Maybe it wasn't CZ Binance. Don't you think that's interesting? We're starting to get a little bit more, let's say, information about what could be happening here in the markets. I think things are getting really interesting. Now, what's even more interesting, before I get into the timeline of all of these events, I want to cover something very important. Because, of course, Jamie Dimon was the one who put out this announcement about the MSCI being forced to dump MicroStrategy from its indexes. He was the one who put it out. But I got a little bit suspicious. I wanted to find out who MSCI is. I was a little bit, let's say, concerned or interested at who they are. And then I found out Check this out, for example. Private providers like MSCI give ESG ratings to companies. Don't you think that's interesting? Oh, you want to invest in fossil fuels? Sorry, computer says no. And these are the guys potentially speculating that MSTR has to be kicked out of all these indexes. I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but once again, something smells off. Something smells fishy. I found this as well on Twitter. Who are the major owners of MSCI? Vanguard, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, State Street, all the big boys. That's, again, just another one of those things that makes you go, what is going on? Who owns the markets? Who is actually dumping Bitcoin? Who is actually pushing the price around here? Look, at this stage, this is all just speculation. Let me make that clear. Before I make something else clear that might get me in trouble, let's appreciate the price pump. Bitcoin's nearly above $90,000. And I think we have a good comment in the chat here. I actually probably can't say that. What I can say is this one. Which one did I want? Yeah, I mean, to this comment here, I'm just putting together dots. If you guys think they don't connect, that's cool. I don't mind looking silly. Let me talk about why I don't think this is a stretch. I'm just going to plug my... Okay, light is plugged in. Let's talk about... Because I wasn't going to make this stream today until I found out that MSCI has all of these links to ESG companies. And that set off the little alarm bell in the back of my head. Because who ended Bitcoin's bull run in 2021? BlackRock, World Economic Forum. China said, we don't like Bitcoin's mining. It's dirty, it's mean, it's evil. Elon. Again, what happened in May 2021? China banned Bitcoin mining because it was dirty. Elon came out and said, we're not going to accept Bitcoin for payment at Tesla in May as well, the same month, because of its energy usage. BlackRock published their annual shareholder letter in 2021. Guess what the big focus was about? ESG investing. And this, of course, created, if we pull up the price chart of Bitcoin, I want to show you something very interesting and why I'm just starting to get a little bit more suspicious here in 2025. Pull up the price chart. Where was Bitcoin in May? China banned Bitcoin mining. Price kind of fluctuated around a little bit. We saw a lot of hash rate leave China, but it didn't actually fully end the Bitcoin bull run. It was the 1-2 punch that ended it. The first punch didn't do it. Then the second punch came out. And again, I could be just reading into things that maybe don't quite make sense, but it was multiple headlines that pushed the Bitcoin price down. China banned Bitcoin mining. Oh, it didn't quite do it. Send Elon out. Elon says he doesn't accept Bitcoin for Tesla. Again, this was strange because he was sitting on $1.5 billion of Bitcoin in the treasury. Why not dump the Bitcoin? If you really believe what you're saying, why not put your money where your mouth is? Dump the Bitcoin. He didn't. Didn't for over a year. Which makes me just go, what's really going on here? Something suspicious. But I think we're seeing something again today. We're seeing this concerted attack. We're seeing, being seen more recently. We saw an old note from MSCI nearly 2 months ago where they were talking about MSTR and inclusions into and out of the MSCI. Then the day of this big flash crash, this is where we saw JP Morgan recycling old news. Again, I'll remind you, minutes before Trump started tweeting about tariffs, 100% tariffs. We can see it. In May 14th, Jim Chanos started the long Bitcoin, short MSTR trade. This is in May 2025, right about here. First time Bitcoin got above $100,000. Don't you think that's interesting? That's a data point. And this is where the coordination comes in. Look at the timeline. First, they send Jim Chanos out. Kind of reminds you of China in 2021. That didn't do it. July 7th, JP Morgan implements a firm-wide margin hike on trading MicroStrategy from 50% to 95%. They doubled it. So translation, they choked off leverage to force liquidations in a clearly hostile act to manufacture selling pressure. Let's look on the chart. When did that happen? July 7th. So they got it below 100 momentarily. Then, the exact day, the exact week that Bitcoin got back above 100, new headline gets rolled out. This is actually kind of insane. So look at this. The first headline knocks Bitcoin under 100. Bitcoin pops back above the 100. New piece of FUD. What are we going to use? JP Morgan increases margin requirements on MSTR. September 12th, Metaplanet announces a capital raise. And then MSCI, the ESG-linked company, panics, realizing that more companies are adopting the Saylor playbook at scale. And then on September 12th, we see an announcement from MSCI where they said to avoid potential reverse turnover, MSCI will exceptionally not implement the public offering of Metaplanet. So a Bitcoin company got attacked on September 12th. Let's put that line on the chart. Where was Bitcoin on September 12th? Surprise, surprise. It popped back up to 117. It was kind of challenging 120 again. Where's next on our timeline? This is this third attack, the big third red line. Then October 10th, the MSCI made that announcement. And here's the kicker. This was exactly 16 minutes before Donald Trump's tariff announcement. This is at 4:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that triggered the global flash crash. And again, this MSCI announcement was 16 minutes before Trump's tariff. That massive multi-$100 million short was placed about 10 minutes after this MSCI note. When was that? October 10th. And then we finally got that crash. Boy, don't you think that's an interesting timeline of events? Nearly as if every time Bitcoin popped above 100 or above 120, we get a new piece of coordinated FUD. I think it's the same as 2021 when we saw all this. Again, who knows? Maybe I'm just speculating. Maybe I'm drawing dots that aren't there. But I think it's pretty clear at this stage, they are absolutely coming for your Bitcoin. And these guys ain't going to stop. I'm going to remind you once again, it's Black Friday sale week. If you still trust Jamie Dimon, you want to get your hands on a hardware wallet, Ledger is also running a massive Black Friday sale. I've got the brand spanking new 5th generation of the Ledger Nano in my hand right now. 2.8-inch touchscreen. Touchscreen, it's beautiful, super easy to use. It's why I recommend Trezor and Ledger, both super easy hardware wallets. As you can see, you can save up to 50%. If you use the link down below, you're going to get $70 of free Bitcoin if you buy a Ledger Flex. Comes in a little gift card. The Ledger Nano S is 59 big ones. The Nano X is $74. That's half price, 50% off. Again, I'll remind you, you've been putting your Bitcoin custody mission on the back burner. Go do it now. It's never been easier. And again, I think while you're taking custody of your Bitcoin, a hardware wallet is step one. Step number 2, create a vault. Create a multi-signature vault. Create a time-locked vault. Again, somebody can force you to move Bitcoin from one of these single signature wallets. You only need a single signature. That's one sign. If you've got a multi-sig, you're more protected. Or a time-locked vault, you're more protected. This is why I love Bitvault. They've made an application that makes creating a Bitcoin vault super easy to use. This is the biggest problem with Bitcoin tech. Too complicated, but not Bitvault. Highly recommend you check it out. They've got an offer that's available for the next 4 days only. You can get 1 year access to the app for $119. I think it's a bargain if you ever run the numbers or you run the maths on how much more secure your Bitcoin will be if it's time locked with one of the vaults that you can create with Bitvault. Highly recommend you check it out. And while we're talking about custody, Bitcoin Jesus says he writes his seed words into stone. That's a good start. Stone's great. I'll always remember you. I like titanium. And we always tell you, your hardware wallets, they're good to hold on to your Bitcoin 12 or 24 words. But so many people back up these hardware wallets with paper. Don't use that. Use titanium. I love the titanium plates you guys can get from Stampseed. Again, I'll remind you, these are the easiest, simple solution for backing up your Bitcoin. Again, there's no moving parts. Nothing can go wrong. It's a single plate. It's got your Bitcoin words on it. Highly recommend you go and grab either the 12-word plates, the 24-word plates. You can get the designer plates. It doesn't matter what you get. Stampseed is going to give you 15% off if you use that promo code Luke15. So go grab them while they last. I am the best. Tim says that he's got Stampseed. Good on you. Let me know what you think of them in the chat. If any of you guys, I know a ton of you guys do have the plates or hardware wallets. Let me know in the chat what you think. Don't put your seed there, Bill. Yeah, these are the first 3 commandments of Bitcoin. Get it off an exchange. Don't trust Jamie Dimon. Put it in a hardware wallet. Back it up on titanium. These are simple commandments, but they should not be ignored. And again, another very simple commandment as well that I always remind you. A lot of people ask me, how do I buy Bitcoin? Should I trust Jamie Dimon? Because we know that Jamie Dimon right now this is the kicker, isn't it? Accepting Bitcoin for collateral for mortgages. We made a video on this last week. I want to just fact check myself live. Okay, again, this is the weird thing about this story with Jamie Dimon. I remember making a video on this. It's true. Check this out. Pet rock no more. JP Morgan to accept Bitcoin as collateral. What? October 24th, 2025. This is a month ago. What's changed in the past 29 days, Jamie? It's just weird. The more you look into the timeline of these events, it just smells like capture or attack or this and that. I just don't trust these guys. It's weird. Why are we seeing all of this? What's with the flip-flopping? I think it goes back to the video we covered earlier. I think this is all market manipulation, which makes me just really suspicious about what's going on with the price. Again, are all of these bears predicting the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin being over? I don't know. I don't know if I believe in the 4-year cycle. And all the manipulation about this crash just makes me think, what's happening here? I've got a video planned for you guys talking about a lot of the on-chain data and what's happening under the hood and who's buying. I might save most of that for tomorrow. Before I give away a little bit of it, again, we talked a lot about Jamie Dimon, ETFs. What's the first rule of Bitcoin? Don't trust anyone. If you want to get your hands on some Bitcoin, I think the best way to do it is by mining your Bitcoin. You don't need to trust a bank or an exchange who's just going to dob you into the criminals in government. Go and mine it. If you want to learn more about mining, I highly recommend you check out what Blockware does. I think they're the go-to mining as a service company, not only in the world, but I think in America in particular. They've got 4, 5, 6 different US-based facilities. Kentucky, Iowa, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. They've gone and done the hard work. They've gone and found the cheapest energy in America. They've plugged in the miners. They make mining easy. So again, whether you want to buy the Bitcoin mining rigs yourself because you have access to cheap energy, and maybe you want the tax write-offs for buying the mining hardware, or whether you want to use their Bitcoin mining hosted service, highly recommend you book a call with the guys at Blockware in the link down below. I think it's the best way to get your hands on Bitcoin. It's as simple as that. I'm sad because number went down. I'm a bit tired. All of this in the short term is noise. We're going to zoom out in 2 years. Bitcoin's going to be at 200, 300,000 a coin, and nobody will care about Jamie Dimon. I think we'll just remember it as the attack that failed on Bitcoin. The same way we remember the attack on Bitcoin from BlackRock, Tesla, the World Economic Forum back in 2021. A lot of people said they killed Bitcoin. It was over. We crashed from 65 when the attack started all the way down to 15. And again, who else was involved in this attack? Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX. They were shorting Bitcoin. They were supposed to hold 80,000 coins. They held 0 when the tide went out. And we all found out they were swimming naked. I just think this attack right now by Jamie, it will be remembered the same light. So many people calling for $10,000 Bitcoin. Look, I don't think it's happening. That's more unlikely than $202,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. I think we'll be closer to 202 than 10. But we'll see. We shall see. I think the only people are wrong are those who own 0 Bitcoin. Again, I'll remind you, even if you think we're going into a bear market for 3 years, don't sell your Bitcoin. The worst thing you can do. I recommend the best thing you can do is actually borrow against your Bitcoin. And again, this is why I like what Firefish has created, because they don't take custody of your Bitcoin. They create these multi-signature vaults that allow you to borrow against your Bitcoin. I've got loans with Firefish. I'm about to take some big loans with Firefish because I'm buying a house and I'll be using their services to do so. Because I don't want to be selling my Bitcoin at 89,000 a coin. I want to borrow against it. Firefish is super cool because you can get instant loans. You can get a 2-year loan instantly. Super easy to use. The last time I used them, I got stable coins in my address in hours. Again, depending on what country you're in, you can get money wired directly into your bank account, or your coins. All Night Hide has already slapped the link in the chat for you guys. Thank you, my friend. If you use that promo code Luke, they're even going to give you 30% off your fees. Again, 30, not half a basis points, 30%. Massive discount. Go check them out. Again, they use multi-sig vaults. I think that's a big thing that just goes missed in this borrowing discussion. Most people are still trusting. Never trust a black box. McLovin in the chat, bear markets are great. You get more sats per dollar. Exactly right. So I wear the little plastic nose bandages most of the day. I put them on in particular before the gym. I don't want to be a big old mouth breather. I don't have the best facial structure as it is, so I'm trying to breathe through my nose, and the nose strips encourage that and make it a little bit easier in the gym. Fucking mouth breathers. What else have you guys said in the chat? Why are we putting any cash in any banks, guys? The takeaway of today's video isn't JP Morgan is bad, go bank with Goldman. The takeaway here is don't trust any banks. They're all as bad as each other. Let me just make that clear. They're all criminals. Jeez. You can't be more of a boomer with tech than me, Steve. I can guarantee you that. Again, hardware wallets really aren't as difficult as most people think. I was talking to my man here the other day, Francis. He was saying to me, Luke, do you really think everyone will self-custody? I just said to him, how long does the average person spend at a bank to open a bank account? It's an hour. Check it. Actually, I probably can't show you. Yeah, I can show you. I'll show you something. Just bear with me for a minute. This is a surprise. I wasn't planning on showing you guys this. Oh, no. Come. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Let me cover some numbers. I got myself one of these the other day. How much can I show? I can show that. Got myself a bank account here in Peru, South America. And I was in there for at least 15, 20 minutes. Josie can fact check me if she's watching or if she can hear me. She never watches. I could say anything and get away with it. But yeah, I mean, so I was saying this to my buddy Francis. I said, look, I just spent 20 minutes in a bank account. I think most people spend 30 minutes at a bank setting up a bank account. And what do? You have to spend 30 minutes. You have to do some paperwork, sign away your rights, like fingerprint in some situations. And then you've got to remember a PIN code. And I said to my man, I said, is taking custody of your Bitcoin any harder than that? Probably takes 20 minutes to watch a tutorial on the hardware wallet you've got. And you remember a PIN code and you stamp some 12 words into titanium. I think you can do the whole process in under an hour. I think the hardware wallet's 30 minutes, and then the stamping into titanium, it's another 30 minutes. It's an hour. It's really not that more difficult than setting up a bank account in reality. So anyway, Steve, sorry for the random tangent. I don't think it's a big issue. To your other question, if you lose your wallet, let's say you've got your life savings on here. I don't. I keep my Bitcoin in different countries and I can't move it, even if I wanted to. But let's say I had my life saving in one of these and I lost it. I lost my wallet. I forgot my PIN code. This is why we have a backup. This is why you have your 12 words also punched into titanium. So if you lose your wallet, you got to back up to your Bitcoin. This is, again, why I'm partnered with multiple hardware wallet companies and titanium companies. Like, these are products I use personally, and I just think they're essential. Like, why tell someone to buy a hardware wallet and then tell them to write down their Bitcoin 12 or 24 words on paper? It's like, it's a half process. It's like, I can't say that analogy. You're not doing the full job if you're doing that. That's what I can say. Look, with all that said, guys, I think summary of today's videos: don't trust Jamie Dimon, don't trust JP Morgan, don't trust these banks. They're going to continue doing what they're doing. That's manipulating the market. They want your Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, they're not going to stop us. Bitcoin's time has come. If you want to learn a little bit more about Bitcoin and why I think it's inevitable, did a deep dive breaking down I think it was the 11 most important lessons I've learned in the past 9 years in Bitcoin. I might put a link to that video in the description and somewhere around there. I might end that one here. Hope you guys have a good night. Go and tell my buddy Brandon